Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 2 of Free. So yeah, we're back here with Free today, and our first episode last week was pretty good. Not anything amazing, not anything like super special or standout, but pretty good nonetheless. I don't remember most of the characters' names. The only one I remember is Rein. And yeah, he kind of was an interesting character. I'll get to that in a bit. So our main character is kind of this guy who pretty much has nothing on his mind but water. And swimming in particular. He wants to be in the water at all times. He'll just sit in the bathtub with his bathing suit on. He can't wait for the weather to get warmer so he can go out on the ocean and stuff like that. And he's extremely one-minded. I hope that as a character he does begin to grow and becomes more than that. But considering that this anime is about swimming, I'm not sure how much he's going to grow out from just being obsessed with that. Because that's pretty much his entire character right now. It seems like he's supposed to be our main character. We have a few characters who could be considered main characters, but he's our main one. And right now he's honestly quite bland. Now he has a group of friends who he's been friends with for a while. He used to compete with and do swimming stuff with. One of which is kind of just this. Again, I don't remember the names, but he's very kindly and nice, and apparently scared of ghosts and stuff. But he's kind of like the most likable one of the group, just generally likable. He has no real, like, from what we can tell from the first episode at least, no real dark sides or issues with him. He has no real like mean streak or anything. He's just this, basically this ordinary, nice guy who just enjoys swimming and hanging out with his friends. There's another guy who's kind of the cutesy one, sort of like Honey Senpai in Ouran High School Host Club. And while Ouran High kind of used those kinds of tropes on purpose in almost a parody-like way with how it presented its characters and stuff, this series seems to be much more of a serious show. And so far, this character he just seems to be the cute one. That's pretty much it. And that's kind of boring, and I hope they do more with his character, too. Then we have Rein and his sister. So Rein was a friend that they made back then who was much more into competitive swimming. See, our main character is more of a free spirit. He just likes swimming freely. Freestyle. No real, method to his madness, basically. But Rein was definitely much more of a competitive swimmer. He was much more of someone who had form and intent. Rein ended up moving away to Australia. I guess he was going to learn some new stuff there or whatnot. I don't remember. I think it was swimming school or a school with a good swimming program or something like that. But he went away when they were young. So now they're all in high school and they're kind of getting back together, and Rein returns, and now he's kind of an asshole. And we had no explanation in the first episode as to why, but he became an asshole. And it's not even like, again, based on the first episode, it's not even like, oh, he's a bit of a jerk, but he has a heart of gold or anything like that. No, he's just a straight-up asshole. And I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure that there is some reason why he became like that. And I'm sure we'd probably find out. But it is a little annoying to see a character who, in the past, who was actually one of the best characters In fact, I would say he was the best character in the past. Past Reign was phenomenal, and I really just instantly loved him. But then it's like in the future, in the current day, he's just an asshole, and he's honestly one of the least likable characters now. And I assume that the creator of Free did that on purpose, but it's really irksome to like make us love a character and then just make them instantly despisable like that. I mean, in this kind of show, it's definitely a lot more irritating than in a show where the reveal of them as an asshole is actually integral to their character's plot and everything. For example, Bleach, the shonen anime Bleach. We're introduced to this character named Sosuke Aizen, one of the captains of the Gote 13, and he's actually really awesome. Aizen, he's a really nice guy, really soft-spoken, really friendly, well-respected, loved by everyone. And then it's revealed that he's killed. He ends up being killed. But then it's revealed that his death was faked all along, and that in reality, he is the big bad, like the final enemy for the series. Well, the final real enemy for the series, let's be honest. He's the main antagonist of all of Bleach. And the big reveal is done, though, in such a way to where it feels like, oh, we're actually revealing something here. This is something that you never expected. With Rein here in Free, it's just like he just comes back and he's just an asshole. It doesn't feel like any kind of big, grand reveal. It doesn't feel like it's big and important to the plot. It just feels like he's an asshole now. And we're just going to have to live with that. Now, he's going to a different school as well, and I don't know how important that's going to be to the story or anything. But his sister, his younger sister, is going to the same school as everyone else. And she, so far, seems to be one of the better characters as well. She seems to be pretty darn likable and entertaining. And she almost kind of makes me think of, like, what Rein should have become growing up. Like, she kind of almost feels more like a grown-up version of younger Rein. And that's weird as fuck to say, because it's like, the fact that she's not Rein is almost confusing to my mind watching that. Because again, she feels like she should be Rein, just based on her personality and character and whatnot. And Rein himself just sucks. But yeah, so far with the first episode, like I said, it was good. Nothing great, nothing phenomenal. But I really do want them to do something good with the main character and with Rein. Now, I know Rein is one of the more popular characters as well. But I don't know why yet. I mean, if it's just because he's attractive, then that's gonna be stupid, honestly. Because so far, like I said, he's like one of the least likable characters. So I'm hoping that they do some good stuff with him, and beyond just the very stereotypical, oh, something happened to me over there, something bad happened to me, someone was a jerk to me, so I became a jerk to try to avoid that pain. Because that's so fucking stereotypical and generic. And I really don't want this series to fall into that. I don't want this series to be stereotypical and generic. I don't want any series to be like that. So I'm hoping it's definitely more than that. But I guess we'll find out. Not really too much else to say regarding this, but yeah, like I said, the main character, he really needs to start standing out and becoming more than just a one-note thing. Because, again, as of now, just that singular focus on swimming is like, he doesn't have much of an actual character. and I feel like it's the one thing that's going to drag him down. So, yeah, there's not really much else to say. We'll just kind of have to see where it goes. So, yeah, we are continuing with the English dub. Once again, I am choosing to do the dub just because, you know, a lot of times I do the sub instead, the original Japanese. And this time I wanted to do the dub, plus I like a lot of the voice actors and all. So, yeah. We'll just get on with this and see how episode 2 goes. Sorry as well for this being so late, like for us taking a week or whatever off. It just kind of happened that way. Can't make any excuses or anything otherwise. It just... excuse me. It just kind of happened, so hopefully we'll just move on from it. But yeah, so when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next. Wow. I mean, I've made that kind of mistake before, but it's like, either way, I'll see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I'm going to talk about one thing first before we get into anything else, because it kind of bothers me a little bit. It kind of explains why Rein is an asshole in this. So apparently, Rein had come back from Australia, I guess after his first year away. He had come back for the break and everything, and he swam against Haru. And Haru completely destroyed him. And the thing about it, though, is that Haru kind of hurt Rein's pride by beating him, I guess. Even though that's not really Rein's fault, it was a race. It was like Rein losing is just like not really Haru's fault necessarily. But it hurt Rein's pride, and because of that, Haru actually got hurt as well because he didn't want to hurt his friend, you know. And so that's why he quit competitive swimming at that point. And, like, that part I get. That part is fine. In fact, I like that. That actually works and makes sense. But the part about it making Rein into this asshole not only doesn't work, but is actually kind of stupid. Like, oh, Rein got his pride hurt. And then when he comes back, and then he just, like, I guess just ignores them the rest of the times he comes back. And then he finally returns, like, for good. And instead of, you know, trying to just recapture things, or even just moving on, he's just outright an asshole. Just straight up. Hey, you're having your pride hurt years ago is not a reason to be an asshole like that. It's not a reason to turn against your friends in the first place. Like, here's the thing. I've lost to friends in a lot of different situations. Video gaming, tabletop gaming, all kinds of stuff. I mean, hell, I've, at certain points in my life, there were points where I did play some sports. I played baseball, I played street hockey, I played basketball, and I lost all the time. In fact, more than I ever won. And yeah, sometimes it might have hurt my pride a little bit, sure. But it never made me drift away from my friends. And the thing is, you see this kind of thing in anime and whatnot all the time, where it's like, oh, I lost to you, so that's gonna make us, like, aggressive rivals for some reason. And it's like, that's just dumb. It's not realistic in any way. It's super over exaggerated in terms of Reen's emotional response. Like, if someone had that kind of emotional response to a single simple loss, then there's something wrong with the person. Because that's not a normal human response. Like, and I'm saying this as someone who's autistic. I have Asperger's, and my emotional responses can tend to be more extreme than other people's, than neurotypical people. Especially if I get hurt, like emotionally. I can just completely shut down. When someone raises their voice at me, or even around me, it makes me emotionally shut down. When I get angry or upset in general, I tend to avoid communicating or contact with people. I have some very noticeably emotional responses to things. But, and yes, I've gotten angry at friends, but I've never gotten to the point where it's like losing in one little thing like that has made me just completely turn my entire personality around and become a completely different person for the dumbest reason. It's like, yeah, I get that Reen was going to this like top swim school in Australia and stuff. Like, I get that. I understand he wanted to be as good as possible, and that he thought that that school would help him. And I understand how losing to Haru there was a bit of a hit to his pride. I get that. But at the same time, that's not only not an excuse for becoming an asshole, it's not logical. His personality took such a 180 that he's almost like a different character, and it feels like super over exaggerated. Like, even for an anime, because this anime is clearly based in reality. So it just seems really out of place to have that kind of reaction to that. And it's honestly making me dislike Reen more and more. So, yeah. But otherwise, so this episode focused a lot on having the beginnings of the Iwatobi Swim Club. Now, this series, that is kind of like a subtitle for this show. So instead of just saying free, you could say free Iwatobi Swim Club. It's kind of like a full thing. And I did know about that before I started watching. And it definitely makes sense that they wouldn't get to that right in the first episode. But I almost kind of thought that they would do the third episode for that. It just felt like that would be more timely. I don't mind it happening in the second episode. But, I mean, all we did see in this episode was them getting it made, getting it accepted and whatnot. We haven't actually seen even the first meeting, technically, so I can give that a pass. And honestly, I like the concept. I like the way that they're handling this. I like that they got Miss A, or Mrs. A, or whatever, to be the faculty advisor, just because I love her character already, and especially much more after this episode. And I even like that Ko became their fourth member. A lot about this I loved. Reen was really the only dark spot in this episode, to be honest. We got to see a little of Makoto's family, and we also saw Makoto meet with their old swim coach, voiced by Chris Sabat. Now, I knew Chris Sabat was in this, I just didn't know who he was going to voice. his character doesn't have much to him yet. I assume he's going to show up again and again at different times. All we know of his character is he's their old swim coach. He's a pretty nice guy, and he now is a pizza delivery guy. So yeah, I like his design. Definitely a different kind of character from what we normally see Chris Sabat do. But there's no issue with that. As long as he does it well, that's what matters. Now, I want to talk about Ko real quick. Ko is becoming one of my favorite characters. She is just so entertaining and funny. Like, the way she loses her shit over all these hot, shirtless, muscular guys is freaking amazing. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've talked about before how I don't like it when shows have fan service for the point of fan service, but that I do like it when a show's fan service makes logical sense. And yes, you could say that these, again, hot, shirtless teenage guys could be considered fan service. I mean, it's male fan service, but it's still fan service nonetheless. And here's the thing. It's done well here because it makes sense. It's a swim club. These characters are swimmers. They're going to be shirtless. You're going to see their abs and muscles and stuff because they're swimmers. They are part of swim clubs and stuff. So yeah, they're going to be pretty fit. And yes, you're going to see their muscles and stuff glistening because they're wet. They are literally wet. It makes sense. It is logical fan service. I like that kind of fan service. Because, one, it just feels more natural. And two, because I, admittedly, as I've said before, can still, even though I'm asexual, I can still acknowledge when some people are attractive, and I can acknowledge when fan service is attractive to look at. I just can't. I do like fan service, but only when it's portrayed right, when it's handled properly, when it feels natural to the character and or world. And in this case, it very much does, so I can appreciate this fan service. Now, Miss A also had this thing about, like, she used to be involved in swimwear, and they were kind of guessing that maybe she was, like, involved in the design process of it, but then I was thinking, no, maybe she was a model. Based on her reaction and stuff, she seemed like she wasn't, like, on the high level of things, like she wasn't a designer or anything like that. And so the next obvious thought is model. And then later in the episode, she mentions how she swore to never wear a swimsuit again, definitely making me think she's a model. Definitely making me think that she used to be a swimsuit model and was possibly, like, what's the word for it? Oh, there's a specific word for it, and it's blanking in my mind. Objectified. That's it. Sorry about that. I'm thinking that it's possible she might have been objectified by her employers and just people in general. People looked at her as nothing but her body and stuff. That would definitely give a reason for why she would not be comfortable wearing a swimsuit anymore. Because it would bring back bad memories. It would make her feel like it's lessening her in a way. And I definitely, I get that. I get it. That is definitely an understandable motivation for that kind of ideology of not wanting to wear a swimsuit anymore. So yeah. Now, there was one character who was shown here who I swear is in the opening. I'm going to go check the opening real quick, just to make sure. But there was one guy who was shown very briefly while they were looking for club members. And he had blue hair and glasses, and I believe he was one of the characters shown in the opening. Um, and one thing is for sure, he was voiced by J. Michael Tatum. Like, that was very obvious. He's one of those guys with a very noticeable voice. I'm trying to find shots from the opening that is not just the main characters. You know? Yeah, we get it. Rin, Haru, Makoto, all them. Oh, there he was. Crap, hold on. Yeah, he's kind of this tall-looking guy, pretty average build, it looks like, just based on wearing clothes at the time. He has a kind of messy blue hair and is wearing glasses and all. But he was definitely voiced by J. Michael Tatum, and he just flat out rejected joining the swim club. But I'm thinking that since he's in the opening, he's going to come back, and that's really interesting that his introduction in the series is so brief and just kind of inconsequential. Now, he's shown in the opening, so I assume he's going to be a notable character. And, in fact, he's shown in the opening in, like, swim attire and stuff. So I assume he's going to join the swim club at some point. I don't know when, but that's cool. Like, I actually really like that they introduced his character in such a nonchalant way, having him just be kind of like this one random person that was being asked to join the swim club for their fourth member, just out of the blue. No real even focus on him. It's just he was just one of multiple characters asked, and yet apparently he's going to become a notable character. That's a really fascinating way to do that, because most shows don't do that. Most shows, when they like introduce a character that they're going to like make out to be notable later, they'll make them stand out. The framing of the scene, the design of them in comparison to everyone around them, they will stand out big time. Even if they're not going to actually become relevant to the story or actually become a noteworthy character until later on down the road. It's basically like you'll see them and it's like, okay, they're going to become something later. But in this, not at all. It's like, I only noticed it was him because he was a character I had been waiting to see, and I recognized J. Michael Tatum's voice, who I knew was the voice of a character in the show. And, by the way, I was right on who... Last time when I was wondering who J. Michael Tatum was going to voice, and I was like, is he going to voice the guy with the blue hair and the glasses? Because that seems like a J. Michael Tatum role to me, and I was right. I mean, it definitely is. It definitely is. I mean, not just because of Ida. It just seems like that's the kind of character, if any of these characters, he would voice. I can't wait till he becomes a much bigger character, because I usually always like J. Michael Tatum's characters. Like, seriously. I really just always love his characters. He brings so much life and energy to them. And even characters like this. Like, I assume he's probably going to be similar to Ida, just in terms of his design and the way he's portrayed in the opening. He seems like a very studious, serious type of character. So I don't expect him to be as silly and over the top as Ida, but I kind of think he's probably going to be similar. And I like that. I like that. That's going to be fun. So we also got, like, our club members, like, roles and all. Like, Makoto is going to be the club president, with Haru as vice president. The other kid, whose name I can still not remember, is going to be the secretary. And Ko is going to be their manager. So Ko is probably not going to do much swimming herself, though she might at some point. And honestly, I would welcome that. I would completely welcome that. But she's mostly going to be their manager, probably getting them into swim meets and events and stuff. So I kind of like that kind of dynamic there. I think it's going to really work for her character, and I think all of them are going to work into their roles a bit. um, I do like the addition that they had to clean out the pool before they could use it. Like, as I said in the reaction, I'm not a heavy labor type of girl. I don't really like that stuff at all because I'll be honest, it bothers me physically, like I said. And what I mean by that is that I get out of breath and tired really easily. Admittedly, I am fat. So I get out of breath and tired really easily. Especially working in the sun, like, the sun saps away my energy like you wouldn't believe. Like, even just going out there to mow the lawn will just completely wipe me out. Even I could be out there like maybe 20 minutes mowing the lawn. It doesn't seem like that bad. Okay, it's 20 minutes. You're mowing the lawn. That's not too long, right? Well, I could be pretty much like feeling like I'm on the verge of death. Obviously, I'm not, but just from what I'm feeling at that time, that's how bad it wipes me out. I cannot handle heat that well. Or cold. I can't handle, like, really strong temperatures in either direction. Cold temperatures I have trouble breathing in, and hot temperatures just completely, like, make me feel just dead. I become very sluggish and, like, unresponsive and whatnot. It's not a good thing. So it's like, I could never, like, I don't think I could ever really do that kind of labor to that extent. Like, getting down in the pool and, like, spending possibly hours picking out all of the weeds, fixing the cracks and stuff that were in the pool, scrubbing it down with the mop and everything. Like, that would just destroy me physically. I can't do that kind of work, especially in the sun. So yeah, but why? I'm not just bringing that up just to say that, like, oh, I'm weak or like anything. I bring that scene up and all because I feel like it really solidified how serious they were about starting this club. And especially even Haru, like, this guy who had been kind of against competitive swimming for so long. He just went down into that pool and started working. And even when Makoto was expecting to meet him on the roof for lunch or whatever, he looks over and Haru's still over there in the pool working on it. We see that Haru is seeing the value in this and that he does want to do this. And again, it's as they said, that race against Rin reignited the spark that had been missing from him, the love of swimming. Not just of water, but of swimming. So I really do like that. I feel it's giving a lot of, like, depth to these characters. It's making them out to be more. And that goes to the last thing I really want to discuss here. In my pre-thoughts, I mentioned how I wanted Haru especially to become more than just, oh, I'm obsessed with the water. That's my only character trait. They did that in this episode. They made him more. I mean, yes, he's still very much obsessed with the water, and they still did the joke about when they're in the store and he's taking off his clothes, about to jump in the fish tank or whatever that was. But they made him to be much more of a serious character who has depth. He came across as someone who hates hurting his friends, as someone who takes that kind of stuff very seriously and even can damage his own self-image and whatnot. We saw that he's hardworking and passionate, that whenever he has a goal, he's going to make it work. We actually have some character for him now. He feels like more than just obsessed with water. So I can appreciate that. But yeah, so far the girls are my favorite characters. A lot of the time that girls are my favorite characters. It's very, very common for me. But honestly, I mean, that's not necessarily my fault that I just like those characters more, that they're written, in my opinion, to be more likable and more interesting and just better for me. It's all subjective, but those are the way a lot of these female characters that I love are written. They're just written in a way that I love. That makes me love them. I mean, there are plenty of male characters in anime and stuff that I love too. Same with cartoons and all. So it's not like it's always only the female characters, but yeah, just right off the bat, I just have this like instant like likability factor with them. At least with these two girls, the teacher and Ko. They're just instantly likable characters. So yeah, tell me what you thought about this episode of Free Iwatobi Swim Club down in the comments below. And I can assure you that we are continuing this, at least for now. No, this episode was definitely pretty darn good and gave a lot of insight into things that I wanted. So, yeah, it delivered on what I wanted it to, at least to some degree, not to every point. But yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,